Okay, so in this video, I want to go over a video that Ben Pellicani, Nashville golf teacher, golf professional, has put out that is going over a lesson about creating a weight shift in the golf swing. And me personally, as a rehab and performance side of things, what we can do is there's so many great things that it can add to a lesson like this, specifically in what can be done in the gym or in the clinic, different ways that we can continue to improve the golfer's ability to make this move happen, while also maybe addressing some other things like mobility and pain, right? So it's different things that were kind of mentioned throughout the video. So I got some great drills, great exercises. You should check out Ben's original video going over this lesson and how you can kind of understand better the weight shift in the golf swing. That is his world, is how he's integrating that into your actual swing mechanics, right? Specifically you, the individual. So again, check out that video. Otherwise, I want to go over a little bit about what we can do to supplement this move, right? This lateral weight shift, why it's important, and then again, just how can we improve it, not on the golf course itself, but just get your body better prepared to make a move like this.
Here's the way it works. We're gonna go left, right, left. I can go right without using my mass to move right. So I call this mass movement. I call this pressure movement. See, I'm not really moving.
So great start. Understanding pressure, and he likes to reference it as mass movement versus pressure movement. But what we can think about with pressure and identifying the differences between these two things is ground reaction forces, right? And so in power, and when we're working, is we're very cognizant of where we're putting pressure and power into the ground, because that affects our kinetic sequence, which is essentially, again, what forces are at play. The kinetic sequence creates the kinematic sequence, which is the motion that is a result of it. But we want to understand, again, where are these forces being put into the ground, and in what directions, and which kind of quantity, right? What amplitude of force. So differing between the force and the kind of body shifting is we want to see, we're more specifically interested in the force at the foot, right? And this is what he's talking about with pressure shift.
We're going to do this in a two-step process. So it's going to be left, right, stop, left, complete your swing, go. I can blend it out.
So Ben was walking through essentially the drill that they are doing to work on the timing of the pressure shifts in the swing. Starting left, pressure shift onto the right foot, and then very quickly getting back onto that left foot, bringing the pressure and the weight back towards that left side. What we see in the kinetic sequence and the kinematic sequence is that the best golfers in the world will get back to that left side sooner. You can create more force if you start creating force sooner. And what TPI mentions a lot is how amateur golfers and higher handicap golfers, they are much later to start creating forces. A great way to start incorporating or improving on your ability to create more force is creating force earlier, and this is a great way to do it with a club in your hand, to start learning how do we start creating forces early. You don't have to think about any of that stuff, but if you just look at getting onto that left foot sooner, all these processes will start sooner, and you can create more force that way. You also, what is so important with this drill is that you are creating a change to your kinetic and kinematic sequence in the timing. So, and a lot of the greatest golfers in the world will start with a lateral, so in this case a right to left weight shift, kind of towards the target, a slight shift in pressure before you finish the backswing. So while you're still going back into the backswing, just before you finish at the top, the apex of your backswing, you are starting to create a lateral shift, which puts a stretch on that entire kind of sling, right? That entire, all the muscles that are starting to pull you into that backswing, you just create that little extra stretch right before you slingshot back down into the downswing. So again, more force, more power.
Gotta get left sooner. Gotta get left sooner. Get there too early. Okay, watch this. We're gonna exaggerate this. So, sooner. See how that was sooner?
Yes. So clip.
Hold on. That was perfect.
Oh, that's the feeling of everything is just so.
I completely believe you. We gotta figure out is how to establish this left side, because that's hard for you. You're still kind of moving, like you said, things are moving around.
Yeah.
And if you pull up, it's a weak position. You start wanting to fall over.
For me, I kind of feel like I'm still coming up, like I'm pushing the lower back through kind of like the pelvis instead of sticking it.
The golfer mentions he feels like he's kind of standing up a little bit too soon or shooting the hips out forward a little bit. A lot of times, golfers who are missing hip internal rotation, especially on that lead side hip, because again, as we're going into our downswing, we are internally rotating through that whole leg and pelvis. They will do things like that where they start to stand up and they try to avoid that hip as much as possible. Now, in a drill like this, where we're trying to get onto our left side sooner, we're putting more force into that left side, and then we're forcing ourselves to not slide. Again, this drill is going to not emphasize a slide. Then we have to be really strong at posting up into that hip. We're going to be on that hip for longer, on that leg for longer. We need to be able to create more force through it, which means we have to be comfortable getting into and purely rotating back into that left side. And so that tends to be one of those things where just from the history or a golfer kind of explaining or watching a golfer do things like this where you can start to guess maybe there's a mobility issue there in that left hip. But again, overall, something that we'd work on to make sure that when he gets here and he's working with Ben, that won't be a problem, right? That we can scratch that potential off the list. And if it's still happening, then we know it is definitely just a time and sequencing kind of body under awareness during the golf swing type issue, perfect for, golf instruction. So a great way that we can begin the process of improving on this ability to kind of separate our hips from our trunk, right? Our pelvis from our trunk, which is a big part of what we're actually doing with this pressure shift is, again, we need to get our lower half starting to move forward while our upper half is still rotating into the backswing, right? And so, in fact, we need to be able to create a lateral weight shift or, pressure shift onto that lead leg while everything else is still rotating backwards. So here's a great way in the, at home or in the gym and even in the clinic when we're rehabbing patients and getting clients to peak performance is this little drill here, right? So this is a simple variation where we're just kind of doing a reverse side-to-side shift as we swing. But what I really want to show you is this alternative version where we're just kind of doing like a backswing and a downswing. So what I want you to think is very similar to the drill with the club that we're working on is a backswing. And the moment you get that, while you're still moving that kettlebell back, I want you to think, lead with your hips, get your hips to the left, think knees to center, and anything like that. Just starting that little weight shift here. I'm talking about not trying to slide and overdo it, but just a little weight shift the moment we start to get that kettlebell back, right? So again, we're here. Once it's going back, we already start to get our hips and feet moving back forward, right? And then we want to use that to give a good kettlebell swing up towards the side and up, right? And then we reset. Now you have to be strong in this lead side leg as you're doing this. Use that force. Create vertical force from that lateral shift and rotation to, again, get that kettlebell up and extend up through there like that. So I think one last time here, get it up and then use it, right? So we still have a heavy kettlebell that we got to get up and over. So we still have to not just kind of be loosey-goosey at the hips, but we got to be able to create that separation and then quickly be strong and powerful back into that hip. So a great place to start getting, improving our ability to be great at that drill. So another great drill to start emphasizing the weight shift. Another kettlebell drill. We're just doing a kind of side-to-side kettlebell swing, but again, we're emphasizing that same sequencing, right? So the same sequence that we're working on, we're going to go start left, then go right, then get left early. Now, what we can do with this drill to help, kind of force that to happen is that we can do like a single leg kettlebell swing. So what we're essentially doing here is we're starting with 2 feet. We're starting pressure on our left foot. We're going to get pressure onto our right foot as we bring that kettlebell back. But then I want to get weight into that left side as soon as possible, just like Ben is trying to get his client to do with the swing during the actual swing itself. But as we go back and the weight's on our right foot, I want to get into that left foot just like we would during the drill. But now we're going to make sure that that's happening because our other foot has to come out, which means we have to be strong, confident, and fully onto that left side. Then we can swing that kettlebell, and then again, just land as you can comfortably. So this just forces us to get in onto that left side. There's no way to hide. There's no way around it because we only have one leg available to us. You have to have your weight onto that side. So we can really emphasize that pressure onto that left side early on with this drill here. We're also getting a little bit stronger, more powerful, more comfortable, and increasing our ability to internally rotate onto that hip in this drill. Okay, another great drill to start emphasizing that separation right at the top of the backswing, when we're still in the backswing, to lead with the hips and get that moving, is this kind of PVC pipe assisted, pelvis rotation is what I'm looking for. So here we are in the think like a big backswing. We have our pelvis rotated as far as you can on the right, trunk rotated. PVC pipe is angled forward and is anchored into the ground, and you're using that to create stability in your upper half. From there, what we're doing is just getting a little bit of pelvic turn, right? So pelvic, you can think knees to center. We want to get kind of your belt buckle facing forward again from that backswing position while your sternum stays pointed towards the side, right? So that is a full backswing position, and we can just start to learn what it feels like to get that turn at the hips and pelvis while maintaining our trunk rotation and everything else back into the top of the backswing. So what we need to notice here, we can't see, is that my feet are firmly planted on the ground. They're staying flat to the floor the whole time, not allowed to cheat lifting one foot up, tilting it or anything like that. Keep those nice and firm to the ground, and that'll make sure that all the relative motion is happening at the joints that we want it to, and there's no compensations happening. So give this one a try as well. Really prepare you for that great drill that Ben was showing us. So this is our banded knees to center drill. Another great drill for starting to work on separation between the pelvis and the trunk. Again, very important in the lateral weight shift. That's if we're going to shift our lower half or at least create more pressure onto the lead side while we're still rotating backwards, that we're able to, again, control the difference between what's happening at our feet and what's happening above. So what this drill is for is kind of a little bit more complicated version. We have a band up high. We have a little band around the knees just to cue the glutes and other hip musculature. If it's a problem, if you're really struggling with this drill, that might help. We don't necessarily need it. Otherwise, what the drill is, we go to the top of the backswing, so the band is anchored up high. We're going to rotate fully towards our right, and then I just want you to lead a downswing with our hips, right? So it's simple, just lead, pull knees back to center, keeping a little bit of tension in this band, which again helps to cue the hip, and then you can give it a little kind of downswing or a little chop, right? But we want to sequence first with that hip, get a little bit of stretch through there, figure out what muscles need to work to make that happen, and then go from there. So a great way to continue working on and improving our weight shift is one last drill I want to show is this side-to-side kettlebell swing, right? 1 foot in front. This works on all that stability, strength, and stamina in that lead side hip. Now we can do this on both sides, and here we're doing it on what would be the trail side hip. But this drill, don't sleep on it, because it will build. You will feel that glute and that posterior and lateral, that side of the hip, working pretty dang hard to maintain stability and control the movement of that kettlebell. Right. So going side to side, keeping that sternum kind of over your foot, your weight shifted and forward on that front foot. And then from there, swinging kettlebell side to side, slowly working up in more weight. You'll get better and better at maintaining your balance through this drill, right? It can be difficult, but again, it won't take long before you start to feel that hip working very hard, especially that lateral hip, to maintain, to create the kettlebell movement, and then to start to de-accelerate that kettlebell. Accelerate it, de-accelerate it. Both ways, both directions, working that frontal plane, right? So a fantastic drill for starting to work on foot strength, feeling that connection with the ground, and then that just lateral and posterior hip strength stability. Beautiful component. We need it if we're going to be really good at shifting weight in the golf swing. So one more drill that we can look at, and we've kind of been progressing these a little bit. This is especially working on the weight shift. I want you to think about doing the same exact thing that Ben was having his student do, starting left, going right, and then quickly getting back left. And I think this little drill really aids that drill for a couple of reasons. So we have the same component down at our feet. We have a weight shift board. I want to see the same exact thing. Start left, get right as soon as you start to go in your backswing, and then almost as soon as you can, get back to the left. Really, as Ben mentions in his instruction, that when your arms get to kind of horizontal to the floor in the backswing, that's when we want to start shifting back to the left. What I think this drill really helps is, first of all, we can practice it at home. But two, we have a band, it's a relatively light band, anchored up high, right above us. What this does is it helps us into the backswing, right? So it's going to help keep pulling us right when we try to start going left, right? So we can see in the swing here, or in the drill, is that we have that lateral weight shift as soon as we get to horizontal, and then we continue a little bit up before we go back. What this really does a great job of doing is stress the most important part of Ben's lesson is getting that weight shift timing down and getting left a little bit sooner. But it also really works on getting that separation between the pelvis and the trunk, one of the highlights that getting left sooner will have, right? You're able to get that stretch shortening cycle and that separation, that lateral kinetic force, right? That lateral force a little bit sooner while you're still just for like half a second, maybe even a tenth of a second in your backswing. This band will help pull your upper body still towards the right into that backswing even while you start to go left. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. So we have a little bit of pull helping you to continue going left the moment that you tell yourself, hey, we need to shift this weight back towards the left, right? So you're going to pull your backswing towards the right. It's going to continue to do that even when we start the left. What's so hard, I think, with this drill normally is that the moment we start going left to the lower body, we think, well, we have to go left with the upper body. And what this extra band up top will help do is just cue us and literally continue to pull us towards the right, where we can get the separation between the pelvis and trunk, but also the separation between the trunk and the arm, right? So really putting all these things together for that kinematic sequence based off our kinetic or our force development down there at our feet, right? So again, a great thing. Give this a try. If you have the setup for it, I think a beautiful, beautiful little extra component or extra work that we can do to really make Ben's lesson stick in the long run, right? So a beautiful thing. One last time here. As we start left, go right into the backswing. As we're coming near the top, I want you to shift left again, and this band will keep pulling us a little bit more towards the right, and then we can use all that big stretch that we've opened up to, again, just kind of chop back down in a simple little downswing. So go ahead and give that a try.
So I like that drill because, again, when we're starting to change all of them, we're changing obviously a lot. But what you felt, and this is why I like that band drill, is all of a sudden you're like, wait, with that thing fighting me, I know something's different, right? And then that band drill gave you the awareness that you needed. You go, oh God, that's gonna hurt. That doesn't feel good. But if I do this, well, that doesn't hurt at all, right?
As I'm coming up like this,
Yep.
kind of puts a lot of pressure on my lower back to a bit sore.
100%.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
But that little thing right there, right? It's called the true turn. You did that, and you're like, oh, that doesn't hurt at all. Ooh, that right there, hit a ball. Just like that size swing, feeling your pressure shift. Click, click, go.
So absolutely, again, pain creates compensation. This body tries to avoid certain patterns and certain positions that have provoked it in the past. And a lot of the times those compensations are not advantageous for golf performance. So yeah, the golfer's trying to stay out of that hinged position, or he seems like he's quick to kind of early extend out of it because of pain and discomfort that will creep up in certain positions. Definitely true. If you are coming out of that position and you allow yourself to kind of extend a little bit more as you rotate, we can create a little bit more pain intolerance in that low back. All right. But if we're able to stay a little bit more flexed, we have a bit more freedom for rotation in that lumbar spine. But again, first and foremost, we want most of that rotation coming from the hip, right? So if we are running out of range at that hip early, then we might be putting too much stress on that low back. It tends to be a big case that we see with golfers. Not saying that's the case here. But again, that is a big reason for low back pain in golfers is trying to, work through something, but when it tends to be a physical restriction that is holding things up, and you just run out of different ways to compensate through it until that low back finally gives up. So something that we can do in clinic as almost like a little exercise and as well as almost a positional thing, but also a little test, almost like an endurance test, is this med ball rotation work here. So what we're essentially doing is we're just staying in this kind of hinged position. It's a bit exaggerated hinge position, but we're staying in that hinge position and we're just rotating, keeping our feet solid to the ground, flat on the ground, making sure that we're actually getting all that rotation from the trunk and the hips. So what this is doing is testing your low back endurance in a golf-ish posture, right? So this hinged forward position. Putting your smaller irons, but even with your longer irons and your driver, again, do we get pain and discomfort by being in this position for an extended amount of time and then rotating through that position? If you're getting positives, if you're doing this and you're getting pain, then we know, okay, we need to get in and do some further evaluation and testing and really get to the bottom of it and then start treating it. But again, if it's not giving us too much pain or discomfort, but we still want to build up endurance in this position, this is actually a great exercise to do that, right? So the test becomes the exercise once it becomes pain-free. And so I just want to throw this in here. We had been mentioning that staying in this more hinged position and not coming into extension super early actually felt better, took some pressure off that low back, which it tends to do. But if you're someone who still has pain in that hinge position, then again, that's something that needs to get just further evaluated and eventually worked on, because again, there's really no escaping it. That is the position that we need to be in if we're have an appropriate golf swing where we delay that extension and we're not slamming those facets and compressing the disc in the swing, and we're still having pain and discomfort. Then again, yeah, we need to just get that worked on. But here's a great exercise to start building a little bit of endurance. Do it for 30, 45 seconds, hanging out in that position, and just getting really good at rotating there. Great little drill to add in there. So this was just a little supplemental video to Ben's great lesson that he did on the weight shift in the golf swing with this particular student of his. Some things that I think would be really beneficial to add into this sort of work to make sure that, you know, where you go into lessons and things like this, that you can get the most out of it, and then you can continue to work on anything physical restrictions and timing, sequencing stuff at home. That would be, again, just helpful and useful. So, again, thanks for watching. Check out Ben's original video. I'll have it linked down below. And otherwise, check out the other stuff on the YouTube channel, subscribe, and we'll be happy to see you in the next one. Bye.